Good afternoon, everyone. Today is the fourth day of the Terraform training, and on the first day we set up our environment. On the second day of the training, we introduced ourselves to Terraform provider, and yesterday we embarked on the first project that that we're going to be doing in this training, where we deploy the VPC, and we also deploy internet gateways, subnet, and route table. Today we're going to take that to another step by creating our first Git repository where we're going to push our code, and after that we are going to work with data source to fetch information that is already on our AWS account so that we can use it in the Terraform scripts. And also we are going to be moving the Terraform Remote State. We're going to be moving it away from our local system, and we're going to be moving it to the backend. So we are going to be using S3 backend to store our remote states. And finally, we are going to lock the remote state so that whenever two people are running it at the same time, they will not be able to proceed. So we don't want two people to run remote states to run Terraform at the same time in order to prevent corrupting the remote state file. So the first thing I want us to do now is to go to the repository, to Git repository, and create a Git repository. So after we create a Git repository, we're going to clone that Git repository to our local system so that we can move all the code that we did yesterday into the Git repository. So the first thing I want to do is to go to my GitHub. You can use GitHub for the Git repository, you can use GitLab, you can use AWS code commit, but because GitHub is the most popular one, so I will be using GitHub. If you want me to organize a training where I will show you guys how to use AWS code commit or GitLab, you can put the comments in the comment box. I will find a time to create a tutorial on how to use GitLab or Git commit. GitLab or code commit to push our code to host our code. So this is the GitHub. I will log in into this GitHub, then connect to my GitHub account. So the first thing I want to do, if you are working with an organization, definitely the organization would have had a GitHub repository before. So all you just need to do, if the organization already have a GitHub repository, all you have to do is to clone the GitHub repository. But in a situation whereby you are creating a new repository for the organization, or this is maybe you just want to have it for yourself personally, then you need to create one. So I'll just assume that the organization does not exist, so I'm setting up a new repository for them. So I'm going to just name this one Terraform YouTube, because I already have another Terraform repository in my account, I guess so I've just said Terraform YouTube, and he said the name is available, so it's good to fly. Then I will make this public so that anybody can access it and clone it. Then I will add a little bit of README file. Then I also want a git ignore file, so that I don't want to push every folders or file on my local system, on my local repository. I don't want to push all of them to the Git repository. So I'll put a git ignore so that I can omit some file. And for me to use a git ignore, I can use a template that GitHub has already created. So I'll just need to search for the Terraform template for git ignore. And the license is none, so that anybody can make use of it. So I'm going to create this repository. So once the repository is created, the next thing for me is to clone this repository and put it on my Git, on my local system. So I can just go to code, then I can code using HTTPS, or I can use SSH, but I'm going to be using HTTPS for now. So then once I copy this link, all I just need to do is to go to my local, go to my laptop, then go to my terminal. So from here, I'll just do, I can cd out of this folder so that I can push the folder directly, like git clone, then paste the link that I copied and paste it here. So now I've cloned the repository. So the only thing I need to do now, since I have cloned it, I need to cd inside that repository. So I'm just going to do cd, then the name of the repository, which is GitHub, Terraform YouTube. So now I'm inside the repository, and that is why, as you can see, that it shows main that is being managed by GitHub, and it's showing me that currently I'm in the main repository. If you are working, if you are collaborating with other people, and you clone a Git repository, the first thing you want to do when you clone a Git repository is to make another branch. Don't work on the original branch that you clone. Work on a different branch so that whatever, if you make a mistake, you can revert back to your to the original file. So I'm going to be making a branch so that we work on the branch. So to make a Git branch, just do git checkout -b, then the name of the branch. So I'm going to call this one Terraform. So as you can see, it has changed the name of the branch to Terraform. So that means that currently I'm working in Terraform branch. If you do git branch, it will show you all the branches that you have. You can see I have main and I have Terraform, but currently I'm working in Terraform. If you are working with if you are doing this in real life, maybe at work, what you want to name your branches, you might name the branches the name of the story that you are working on. If you are using Jira to manage your story and you pick a particular story from your Jira board to work on, and maybe a particular features, so you can name your branch as the features name. So I have my I'm going to use my own as Terraform. So what I need to do now, all the Terraform code that I've written for the past 2 days, I want to bring them to this folder, because currently there is nothing inside this folder apart from the README file that we created. And it's README and the git ignore. You are not seeing the git ignore because it's a hidden file. It started with dots, git ignore. Any file that starts with dots, you will not see them in the list like this. If you want to see them, you have to put -a in front of your command before you can see it. And you can see we have a .git, which is a folder, and you have a .git ignore, which is a file. But we are not seeing them initially because they are hidden file by default. So now that I have my repository, so let me go and move all the code that we've written before and move them to this Terraform folder. So to move all the code, I can just do mv, which means I want to move. If you don't want to move, you can do cp to copy, but I just prefer to move all of them. So what I will do, the folder that I want to move is not in this current working directory. It's not in my current working directory. It's in another directory that is in my desktop. So the first thing I want to do, I want to go out from this current working directory by doing --. So I move out of the current working directory to go back to the parent directory, which is the desktop. And on the parent directory, the folder that I want to copy from is called Terraform. And I want to copy everything inside that Terraform. So I'm not going to name the file one by one. I will just put an asterisk, meaning I want to copy, I want to move everything inside that Terraform. And where do I want to move it to? All I just need to do to specify where I want to move it to is to put a space in between where I'm moving from to where I'm moving to. So how to specify where I'm moving to? If you are moving to the current working directory that you currently are, for me, I want to move to my current working directory, which is terraform.youtube. I'm just going to do dot. That specifies that I'm moving to current working directory. So if I press this, you will see that all the file will have been moved to this current working directory. How do I know? When you press ls, you can see all the file now, they are present in this current working directory. So from here now, all I just need to do is to go and browse to my current working directory from the VS Code. So open my VS Code, go to the Terraform YouTube and select it. So now both my terminal and my VS Code text editor, both of them are now in the current working in my Terraform YouTube file, Terraform YouTube folder rather. So I will clear this. Now that I move all the files to my current working directory, if you look at my current working directory, all the files that we worked on yesterday, we initially supposed to put all the files inside this network project, but we don't move them, we don't put them in the network project. So I can just move all of them to the network project by doing mv, move everything into network project. So now it moved some of them to the network project and leave the git ignore. That is fine. I prefer the git ignore to be outside the working directory. And if you want, you can as well move the git ignore into the network directory. Or maybe I should just leave them outside, but whichever one is fine. I can move them back outside. I think I would prefer them outside. I will just delete the network project. So to move them back, I'll just do mv, move them, and everything inside the network, move them to the current working directory. I think I would prefer them in the current working directory. Then remove directory. I want to remove the network directory because it's of no useful to me again. So it's gone. So my system is clearer now. So now the first thing I want to do, now that I already have all of this in the current working directory and everything is fine. So let me continue from where we stopped yesterday. So to continue from where we stopped yesterday, the first thing I want to do is to do Terraform. Okay, before I do Terraform init, remember our access key to the AWS account would have expired. So we need to get a new access key to configure our VS Code. So I need to go to the access key and configure the VS Code. So I need to go to the link and put my username. Okay, it's automatically okay. That means it doesn't log out initially. So I just need to get a credential. So I'm copying this credential, then go back to my Visual Studio Code, doing VI. Then I need to paste this in the AWS credential file. So I'm going to delete the one that was there before by doing delete the one that was there before and paste the new one that I just copied. So I've just pasted the new one that I copied, save this, clear. So now I can run Terraform init. I supposed to do Terraform init dash reconfigure. If you just put a new access key, you need to do Terraform init dash reconfigure, but it's fine as long as it goes through. I'm going to do this again, Terraform init dash reconfigure, so that I can take the access key into consideration. So now that is done. So all I just need to do now is to start working from where we stopped yesterday. Let's do Terraform plan to see where we stopped yesterday. Okay, so we have the VPC configured, we have the internet gateway, we have the route table, we have the subnet, and we have the route table association. So the only thing that is left for us to do is to configure the route gateway route. We need to put some routes in our route gateway. And since this subnet is a public, since this subnet is going to be a public subnet, so that means we need to have a route inside that public subnet that will lead to internet gateway. So if you go back to open our Terraform documentation, when you click on the Terraform documentation, if you want to go to the AWS provider, click registry, provider, AWS, documentations. Then let's go to the VPC. So under the VPC, we're going to look for routes. So this is route. So we want to create a route. And the first route we want to create, let's just copy this. Then we are going to, okay, let's look for the one that, okay, let's use this. We are going to just modify it. So let's go to, let's put it under inside our VPC. I'm going to move this down a little bit. So if you go down, we have our route table here. We have our route table association. Let me name it as route table association. Come on. Then underneath that, I want to have the routes. So this is going to be our first route. I'm going to call this one public. And you can name this by using something like by using just alphabets like A, B, C, or things like that. So I'm just going to name it public route, public RT. So now that I name it public RT, so the route table ID, I need the route table ID. But guess what? I don't want to hard code the route table ID. So I'll just go to the route table, then get the ID. So this is the route table. All this together is going to form my route table block. So I just need to put dots in between the route table and the route table source, I mean the block, the AWS resource block and the Terraform block. So So this is how to specify this route, the whole of this route table. That is what I'm specifying here. And what do I need from this route table? The attributes that I need from this route table is the ID. So all I just need to do from here is just put the ID so that you can give me the ID that this route table is going to generate after it is deployed. And if you don't want to do it this way, if you just want to copy the ID directly, you are free to just go there and copy the ID directly. Also, apart from that, the other thing that I want to get is this is the route table ID. Then I need the destination source, and the destination source is going to be an internet gateway. So I need to go to my Terraform documentation and get the internet gateway. This destination IPv6 CIDR block, I don't need it, and I don't need this integration only ID. So I'm going to delete both of them, then go and get the one for IPv6, IPv4. So go back to the documentation. Then we need the one for IPv4. So I'm going to look through my argument. So you can see destination CIDR block, which is optional. Then that is what I need, but let me just look around. We don't need VPC, you don't need endpoints, you don't need internet gateway, no network interface, no local gateway, no NAT gateway, no. This is what I need here. Gateway ID, because it's going to be public. So that is why I need to specify that. I need this and this. And if you look, there might be something like a sample here, but there is no sample. So I will use, let me go back here. Then put the gateway ID. Then for the gateway ID, remember we also created the gateway. We have the gateway block. Oh, sorry guys, here there is a mistake here. So this route table ID, it is the route table ID that we need, not the route table association. I initially copied the association. So this is what I'm supposed to copy here, these two. So I'm going to go back and put the two here. It's not the route table association, it's actually the route table itself. So I put it back. Then for the internet gateway, I need to go to the internet gateway and get this block. I'm going to specify or call this block by calling the resource block, the resource name, and the block name, both of them together. I put dots in between them. This is the resource name. So I need the resource name. Then I need to put dots and the block name. And what do I need here? I need the ID as well. So this is now me specifying that and I want to create a route in the route table, in this route table, and I specify the route table by using the ID of the route table. Then I specify the destination, which is this is the target. I specify the target, which is the internet gateway ID by calling the internet gateway ID. And there's one more last thing that I need to specify, which is the destination. So I need to go back to so I need the destination block. So I'm just going to copy this. That's going to be the destination block. And the destination block must rhyme with the subnet, that I specified. So this destination block will be internet, which is 0, because this is a public subnet. So it's going to be 000/0. So this is me specifying that, okay, if I'm going to any route that is not in the local route, and the internet, the route table should forward it to the internet gateway. So by putting internet gateway as the target here, that means it automatically turns this route into a public route. If this internet gateway is not there, then it is not a public route, but the presence of the internet gateway makes it a public route. So this is done. Then I can do Terraform plan. So it tells me that it's going to create one more thing. So let's proceed. But before we create one more thing, let's go to our AWS account. Let's see the current state of our AWS account. So I'm going to close this one, go to the console. Then go to the VPC. So inside the VPC, I want to go to the route tables. So we have a public route table, which is this. But if you open this route table, it does not have any other route apart from the local route. So we want to add a public route into this place. So I will then go back and say, okay, I'm satisfied with the plan. Then I want to apply the plan. Then say yes. Waiting for it to finish. It's taking its time. So if you go to the AWS account, let's see, has it added anything? We can refresh this to see if it has added it. It hasn't. It's taking some time. Let me see again. It's taking some time. This does not mean that it has any issue. At times, it might be as a result of slow server. It might be as a result of slow server from possibly AWS or Terraform. So I will stop this because it's taking too much time. Then restart it. It's true that it actually created it before, but I don't know why it wasn't shown there. Let me see. Does it actually created it? Oh, it's actually created it then, but it was just that it was kind of slow. So that is why I stopped it. But you know what? I'll just tell it to go ahead and tint it. So we destroy that one and create it again. That is fine. Now you can see that it's kind of faster. And this is what I was expecting initially. So why it was slow the other time is not, that wasn't our fault. So now it has successfully created. So you can see now this route now is now a public route. The route table now is now a public route table, and you shouldn't put any data or any access that is hosting sensitive data in this public or in the subnet that is going to be associated with this route table. All right, now that we have our route table figured out, so the next thing for us to do is to spin up a server, which is an EC2 instance inside this subnet. But before we proceed to spin up a server inside this subnet, the first thing that I want us to do, if you look at this, if you look at our configuration here, we have the states, we have the backup state, and we have the TR vars. If I should go ahead, let's push this. Let's push this to the Git repository to know that we have our network ready. But if I should go ahead and push this to the Git repository, it's going to push this terraform.tf state into the GitHub. We don't want that because this Terraform repository has some sensitive data that we don't want to push in a public route, in a public repository. And the reason for that is that if this repository, if this terraform.tf state got corrupt, that means everything we have in the Terraform that we have used Terraform to deploy, we have to do it again. For example, let me show you something. Let's comment this out. Right? Let me comment everything out. It is comment out now. If you now try to run here, if you try to run Terraform plan, initially it's supposed to show us that, hey, we are in good shape, that everything is fine. But guess what? If we want to deploy everything again, because it's not seeing it in the Terraform, it's not seeing it in the Terraform state. That is why we want to deploy them again. So you can see here, I can do, it's not seeing the Terraform state again. So, but I will uncomment it. I will show you what I mean later by the time we've already moved it to S3. So you can see it was giving an issue there, but if I put it back, if I unlock the Terraform, then everything will be fine. Unlock the Terraform.tf state, everything will be fine back. So this is why you have to keep the Terraform.tf state in a very secure place. You don't want any issue to happen to it. If anything happens to it, then your whole the whole environment that you deploy with Terraform, you have to do it again. So now what we want to do now is to create an S3 bucket so that we can push this terraform.tf state into the S3 bucket. So we are also going to use Terraform to create the S3 bucket. So let's go to Terraform. Let's go to S3. I'm just going to make this a very basic S3. We're also going to enable we're going to enable versioning for this S3 bucket because we want to ensure that we have versioning for our Terraform state file. So I'm going to create another I'm going to create another file called S3. Oh, sorry, I want to name it s3.tf. So to rename, I'll just do move s3 to s3.tf. That's how to rename. So now I just need to open this s3.tf and paste the Terraform code there. Now I'll just call this one Terraform backend. Then I have the Terraform backend as the name of the bucket. The tag name, I'm going to call it Terraform backend 2. So I'm going to, so everything is fine. I need to enable a versioning for this bucket. So to enable the versioning, I need to go back to the documentation and go under versioning. Then you see bucket versioning. I'm going to click on this, copy this code. This is what I just need to copy, the versioning side. That is all I just need to do. Then paste it here. Then I'll just say enable versioning. And the bucket ID, I don't want to use example here. I want to use main, or let's call it backend. So for this example, I'm going to change it and just name it backend. So it's going to be AWS S3 bucket dot backend ID. I need the ID so that this block can know that we are referring to the bucket name, which is up here. And that is created. I just need to do Terraform plan. Let me see what it's going to do before I do apply. Always make sure you run Terraform plan, especially if you are just learning to work with Terraform. But if you are an expert in what you do, then you might want to skip that Terraform plan, but it's always good to do it. I don't miss it. I don't try it. Even I've been working with Terraform for more than 5 years now, but yes, I still always use plan. Yeah, say yes. Okay, I think there is one thing that we copy. It's supposed to use US. It was referring to, let's see, what's the one? It's referring to a region. You see my portion, the US is 1 is wrong. Expecting Europe, US is 1. Let me see. Okay. I don't know why it was giving that error. Let me see. Does it want me to provide region here? Let me go to the Terraform documentation and see if they require region in any way. Okay, I'll try it again. I think I'll possibly I copied something wrong before. I don't know. Click apply. I'm seeing this error for the first time because I'm deploying to US East 1 and it's directing me to Europe West 1. So I need to see possibly my configuration. So let me check the CD. Let me VI into my config and see. Yeah, I have my US East 1 still there. I don't know why it is giving me that error, but I'm going to see if I can troubleshoot it. If I can't troubleshoot it, I'll just go and create it on the console, then import it back to Terraform. That's another means I can use. I've not encountered that kind of error before. I don't know why it's giving me that error. If you give me that error again, I'm going to let me comment out this block. Possibly that is the cause. So let me just create the S3 by itself and see if the S3 created, then I can go back and enable the versioning. Yes. Authorization header. So if you have this kind of error at work, all I just need to do is copy the error and paste it on your browser to see if somebody have encountered such error before, then they will let you know, and that's just solving issue in real time. So I've seen somebody here, I've seen that error. So let me see how they fix it or what caused the error. Nobody got any solution for that. Okay, so okay, I think the what caused the error is the bucket name. So let's modify the bucket name around. Possibly somebody has used this bucket name before. I'm just going to call it 1201. Just change the bucket name. So since we know that it is bucket name that caused it, then I'm going to uncheck the versioning, then apply. Okay, it was the bucket name that caused it the other time. So that error was caused by the bucket name. And one thing about S3 bucket is that the name have to be unique in all AWS platform. So that is understandable. If you go to our AWS account now, we go to our AWS account, which is, let me close this. This is our AWS account. If you go to S3, you will see the bucket that we just created now. So we need that bucket. So this is the bucket that we just created now. I need the bucket, open it, there is nothing inside there. So I can go back now. So what we need to specify here is that we need to specify the backend. We need to specify a backend. So I can create another file and call it backend.tf. You can put the backend.tf here, or you can put it in the same place with the provider. But what I want to put in the backend.tf is the backend configuration. I want to tell Terraform that the backend should be, instead of leaving the terraform.tf state on my console, on my desktop, I want it to push it to the S3 bucket that we just created. So what I need to do, let me go back to Terraform. I'm just going to specify that I need, if you go to the provider, or just go to, let me open another tab, you do Terraform backend. You will see the number, the different Terraform backend that you can use. If you scroll down towards the end, you will see backend configuration, and you see available backend in the Terraform documentation file. If you open the Terraform backend, the available backend, you can see the one that we are currently using is the local. That means we have our terraform.tf state on our local repository, but you can have it in different remote sites. You can have it in Azure, you can have it in console, but where we want to have our own is S3. So we want to move our terraform.tf state to S3. So I'm just going to click on it and look at it. It gives me a sample configuration. So I'm going to copy this sample configuration, go back to my screen, and I just need to change this around. So the backend name, the bucket name, I need to go and copy the actual bucket that we use. So the bucket name is this. So I'm going to specify the bucket name and the path to the bucket. If you have a folder, if you first have a folder inside the bucket, possibly if you go to the bucket and create a folder, for instance, now, let's say you want to use the same repository to manage multiple projects. So you can create a folder. You can say this folder is for YouTube. And if you have another folder, maybe for Instagram or any other social media, then you can also create the folder. But in your Terraform repository, in your Terraform configuration, if you are putting the terraform.tf state file in the YouTube folder, then you have to specify it. That folder is called prefix. So YouTube / then terraform.tf state. So this is how I will specify that Terraform should move this terraform.tf state. That means this file that you are seeing here, Terraform should move it into the YouTube folder that is inside the Terraform backend 1201 buckets. So that is all I just need to specify. And also, if I clear this, I can also specify my provider, which is specify my provider, which is the username that I'm using. If you go back to the Terraform configuration, Terraform S3, if you scroll down, you will see the different authentication method that you can do. And we will also come back and do create a Terraform, a DynamoDB table to make sure that we lock the Terraform configuration, because we don't have multiple people to be using multiple people to be running Terraform command at the same time. So if you go down, you can see inside that block, we can have region, we can have access key, we can have different other configurations. So I'll just go ahead and do Terraform plan. There is possibility that this will ask us to put a credential. Then if it asks us to put the credential, then I have to come here and put the credential here. Because at times it always asks that we should put credentials. But if it doesn't ask us anything of such, then I will just ignore it. So let me go back and get the name. So I'm going to open a notepad. So I just need the, no, that's not what I want to copy. Is this one that I want to copy? So what I actually need here is just the name. I want to change the profile name. So that is why I copied that so that I can get the profile name. So I'll just do Terraform plan now to see what Terraform is going to do again. You can see now I modify my backend, my backend. Initially I was using local backend, but now I'm using S3 backend. So if you do something like this, you have to do Terraform init again. And when you are doing Terraform init, you have to put Terraform init -- migrate state, because we are migrating the state from the Terraform from our local environment to the Terraform, to the S3 backend. And this is one of the interview questions that if they are trying to know whether you understand or you've worked with Terraform before, this is one of the questions they normally ask in an interview, that when you are migrating states from one place to another, what is the command to initialize that? And that is Terraform init the configure, migrate. The configure is if you are putting a new credential. So this state now we move out from here, then it will be sent to our S3 bucket. I do, yes. And if you open this state now, you can see the state has disappeared. But if you go to our S3 bucket, the state will be in our S3 bucket. Let's go to the S3 bucket, close this, open the YouTube. You see, the state is now here. So we are keeping our state with S3 inside S3 buckets. Although you will still be seeing the file here, but whatever we are running now is saving the state in the S3 buckets. So I'm going to clear this, and I will Terraform plan again. We see it's not going to show anything. The state is now in S3 buckets. So now I can push all of this to our backend. So that is done. So we've covered that. So the other thing that we need to understand today, we've done the backend. So let's also lock down the Terraform.tf state so that two people will not be able to run it at the same time. So we can create the DynamoDB also using we can create the DynamoDB using S3, using Terraform as well, but I'm looking at the time. Okay, let's see if we can quickly create it. Go to DynamoDB. I'm just going to do it little by little. I'm not going to rush it because I want you guys to actually understand it so that you can use Terraform to manage all your projects. So I'm going to use all of this, just copy them. I don't really need all of them. I just need let me use this. I don't really need all of them. I just need the basic one. So I'm going to use this first one. I'm going to use this first one, then modify it. So I'm going to put here DynamoDB.tf. And inside the DynamoDB.tf, when I paste this, I don't really need everything, so I can remove something that I don't really need. All of these, I don't really need them. So I will leave this provision. I will just call this one Terraform. The name is going to be Terraform. I will leave it in provisioned. I will leave this 20 capacity, 20 capacity. I will leave those one. The ID, this attributes. I need an attribute of lock ID. Lock ID. I can change this one to lock ID2. So let me check. I'll prefer to use, let me check the backend and make sure that I specify the way Terraform wants it. The only thing that if you are creating DynamoDB for S3 backend, you must have an attribute called lock ID. That is the only attribute that you need, and I will show you the attributes here. Let me look for it. Here, this is DynamoDB. So this is the DynamoDB table. Let me see. It's not showing. Let me go back to up and just click on the table that it was showing us. Yeah, DynamoDB table. Let's click on this. So anyway, well, what we have is fine. I just want to show you guys on the table. So I don't need this every other all this one that I have here. I'm going to delete all of them. I'm going to delete all of them. I just need one attribute. I don't need all of these attributes. So I only need just one attribute, which is the state lock ID. I think it has to be lock ID. I don't know whether it has to be capital or letter. I've forgotten, but it has to be lock ID. So I don't need the range key too. So everything is fine. This is just basic, and I will just say Terraform plan. How it's going. Then I will say Terraform apply. While it's loading, I'll say yes. So we can now go and check. Let's finish with. So it has created the backend. So all I just need to do now is to go and check the DynamoDB. Go to table. So you can see we have our DynamoDB here, and we have our lock ID. Forget about this one. This is another project I was working on entirely, but this is the one that we just create now. So what we just need to do is to specify the ID in our backend. So I need to go back to the route, the console, the VS Code, clear this. So in the table, let me go back to let me close this. Let me go to the backend. In the backend, we need to specify it here. It can be anywhere. It doesn't have to be a specific place. We just need to specify the lock ID, and then the lock ID, which use lock ID, and for the table, for the DynamoDB table, we use Terraform. So now, if two people running the Terraform script, it's going to block it for, one has to finish before the second person continue. And guess what I'm going to do here? I'm going to put these two side by side. Open this. Close this. You can see currently the table does not have any. Let's explore table. The table doesn't have anything currently. So if we try to run Terraform, let's just do Terraform plan. Immediately it's running Terraform plan. Let me see, what's the backend initialize Terraform? Okay, because I modified that backend, I also have to run Terraform init again. That reconfigure, you have to put reconfigure if you modify credential. If you modify backend, you have to do migrate state. You say an argument name backend is not expected here. Okay, I think, let me see. You say an argument name backend is not expected here. I think it's supposed to be lock underscore ID. Let me check. Lock underscore ID. I guess so, yeah. I think let's see if it is not correct. I'm going to go and check on YouTube, but I think that is what it should be. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. Open this. Terraform backend, Terraform S3 backend with DynamoDB. So we have region, we have key. I just need to go to the DynamoDB and see the profile, and see the log ID. Okay, just Dynamo. Okay, there's not even the log ID there, so I'll just remove it. I think I've forgotten that side. Let me comment it out and run it again. Okay, I think it works now. So I need to put this back, then put the S3 back. I need the table. So let's quickly just pretend as if we want to deploy an EC2. So that's going to be the final thing we're going to do today. For the every other thing, we're going to continue it tomorrow. So let's go to EC2. Let's quickly deploy an EC2. It's going to be a very basic one. Go to AWS instance. So this one, I'm not going to. If you are deploying an EC2, you just need the AMI. Specifying the AMI is the major thing that you must have. That is the only requirement. Every other thing are optional. So when we open this, then here I will also specify EC2.tf. Oh, so I already have an EC2. Okay. What do I have here? EC2. Okay, there's nothing there. I'll just paste it here. So I'm going to remove anything. I'm going to leave the tag. I need the tag. I'll just click Terraform managed public EC2. Then every other thing, I don't need them. Okay, I think let's put the subnet since we have the subnet. What is the subnet name? The subnet name is under VPC. So since I have my subnet, I'll go to the subnet, get the subnet ID. To get the subnet ID, copy the subnet resource subnet, the resources block, and the resources name. Copy both of them, join them together, and put ID in front of it. So it's going to give you subnet ID. So dot ID. So I get my subnet ID from there. This is using T2 micro. I'm not going to use T2 micro. I'm using T2. I mean, it's not using T2 micro, so I'm going to use T2 micro. Here, we're supposed to do data, how to fetch data from the AWS account today because the time has gone. I will postpone this to tomorrow. We will fetch our data from the if you already have some information on your AWS account and you want to put that information and use it in your Terraform scripts, that is where you will use data. But I'm going to push this to tomorrow. Then I'll just go to my AWS account and add code the value just for today. So tomorrow we are going to use that data because there are some things I need to explain under that and the time has already gone. So here, I'm just going to pretend as if I want to spin up an EC2 instance directly from the console so that I can get an ID. Or another way I can do is to go to the AMI catalog, then get an ID from the AMI catalog. So I need this first ID here. All I just need to do is to copy the ID. So copy this ID, then go back to my console, put the ID there, then that is all. I just need to run Terraform plan. So Terraform plan you say acquire the state lock. It can't acquire the state lock. I think something is wrong with my Terraform state. Let me see the Terraform. Let me see the table, the Dynamo DB. exploitable I think there's an issue with the state log. I might have to review that tomorrow. But if you are running on real world and the state is being logged but wants to override it, you can do Terraform. If you want to ignore the state log, you can do -log is equal to false. Let's see. Terraform. I think the state log that we have here, let me see the attributes again. It's supposed to be log ID like this. So I'm going to do Terraform apply to apply that changes. Let me comment out the EC2 so that I can first apply the changes for the state log, then come back and enable the EC2. So for me to apply the log, I'll just do pause so that I can apply the state log. I'm just ignoring the log. So Terraform is going to ignore the log so that I just want to change that ID. I think the ID was wrong. It's supposed to be uppercase and I used lowercase. So, and that name has to be spelled specifically. It's log, LOCRLD. Say all attributes must match a defined attribute. Okay. So the error that I was getting there was as a result of this. I'm supposed to change both of them. So the log supposed to be uppercase ID, but I used lowercase, and that was why it was giving me that error. Then I'll just say yes, proceed. If you use any other name apart from this as is spelled here, then you will also get the same error. So I'm going to clear this. Then I can go and uncomment the S3, I mean the EC2, because we have actually corrected that error now. So I can do Terraform apply. Okay, another error. But this error we are having is the token has expired. The token just supposed to last for just 1 hour, and it has been more than 1 hour. So I'm just going to quickly generate a different token, refresh, generate a different token, then copy the token and paste it there. So I'm going to go for the window, copy this, go back to my VS Code, do C on VI .aws credentials. Then I need to delete this new one, and paste the new one here. Save the screen, play and run again. Plan. Error message, two error occur, operational error, DynamoDB put response status code. Wait, what is our DynamoDB table? It's Terraform. What do I put in my backend? Okay, you can see I used lowercase t here, and in the Terraform is uppercase, so that has to be correct too. You can see that's why it's always good to just copy instead of writing it out by yourself. So I do plan now, then I have to do Terraform init. Anytime you modify the backend, you have to do Terraform init -reconfigure. Then I need to do plan now. If I do plan, then go to the S3. If I go to the S3, you will see that it's going to create, it will create a log, so that nobody, you can see it has created a log. So once it is running currently, it will create a log until you finish before you delete this log. So once this log is still there, nobody will be able to run any Terraform command why this block is still there, apart from it's just showing that, hey, somebody is currently using the Terraform and nobody can use it. That's why I put this block here. After it's finished, if you refresh this, it's going to delete the block, and you can see that it has actually deleted it. So I'm going to stop the class here today. We can see now that we have used Terraform to create backend. We use Terraform to create the DynamoDB with provision some resources. I can push all of this code now to our Git repository. Before I push, this is what I normally do. I normally delete this, although I don't really need to delete it because it has already been in my git ignore file, but I always just prefer to delete it. Anytime I need it again, I'll put it back, because it's already in my git ignore file, so it's not going to be pushed. Any file that is here will not be pushed to the Git repository. So I'm just going to do git add. I'm adding all of the remaining. Then once I add git commit -m, which is going to be initial commit. Then I can do git push now. Git push -u origin is Terraform. Say the origin does not supposed to, okay, sorry, the origin was not correct. So it's going to push this to the backend, and once you push it to the backend, I will just need to go and make a pull request so that I can merge it. It's actually asking me for authentication. Then I'm just going to say I'm going to authenticate it to give it permission so that you can push to the backend. Just want me to log in. Now you can see it has successfully pushed to the backend. So I just need to go to the backend, which is the Git. This is the Git here. And then from here, you can see Terraform has recently pushed. So I just need to make a pull request from here. And once they review it and they say everything is good, I'm creating a pull request. Then somebody in the team will report this pull request. And if they are satisfied with my pull request, they will just merge it to the main repository. So this is how it is being done in real life, on the job out there. So I think you've learned something today in this training. So if you have any comments, you can put it in the comment box now. But if you don't have any comments or question, I want to appreciate you guys for coming for today's training. This is the 4th day of the Terraform Zero to Hero training. If you enjoy our content, please subscribe or press the notification bell, and please share the links to friends, family, colleagues, and let's keep the channel growing. Thank you, guys.